From KATU News, this is Your Voice, Your Vote.
I think there is an increased amount of sensitivity to this election and the tensions that people are feeling in communities across the country, not just in Portland.
Anticipation in the air tonight on this Election Day 2024. As we come on the air tonight, the deadline passing for dropping off or mailing your ballot in Oregon and in Washington. First results expected any minute now. Good evening and thank you for joining us for this special Your Voice, Your Vote edition of KATU News, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn.
And I'm Deborah Knapp. Tonight we're on your side tracking the races that you care about the most. We have team coverage tonight. KATU's Victor Park, Barry Mangold, Dunn Verma are closely following the race for Portland mayor at the campaign headquarters for Keith Wilson, Renee Gonzalez, and Carmen Rubio.
We are also tracking two races that could help tip the balance of power in Congress. Christina Giardinelli is gathering the latest on the race for Oregon's 5th congressional district, where Democrat Janelle Bynum is taking on Republican incumbent Lori Chavez DeRemer. In Washington's 3rd congressional district, Democrat incumbent Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez is defending her seat against Republican challenger Joe Kent. Shelby Slaughter and Emily Gersh are live with us tonight from their campaigns.
And KATU's Wright Gasway, as you can see, is standing by tracking the city races decided by Portland's new ranked choice voting system.
But first of all, joining us throughout the evening will be KATU political analyst Jim Moore. Jim, thank you for being here. Let's take a look at the presidential race as we speak. I know we've been watching it in the newsroom before coming out here tonight. Give me some of your thoughts now.
If current trends hold, Donald Trump will win a pretty narrow election, but it looks like he'll win. He may even add more as he goes on. Right now, my estimate is 270 to 275 for Electoral College votes.
Very tight. Okay.
Very tight.
We'll continue to talk to you and follow different races throughout the evening tonight.
Some races will look very different to this election. Specifically in the city of Portland, the mayoral, city council, and auditor races will be ranked choice voting for the first time.
So we want to go to KATU's Wright Gasway with a look at how those races will work and any results we could be seeing, right?
Yeah, so we just got our first round. This is very preliminary. I do want to explain this and how the county will do this. So they're going to run these ballots once a day with all the ballots they have using this ranked choice method. We've been telling you about it. Voters can rank the candidates in preference, and then the county tabulates those votes. The candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated. Those voters then go to the second choice they put on their ballot. So the county runs that tabulation. They're putting the results up just for the ballots they have today. And what we're seeing in this preliminary round with about 89,000 votes for Keith Wilson. He wins in this preliminary round. But once again, they'll redo this tomorrow with more ballots. In this preliminary run here, Carmen Rubio came in second place with 37% of the vote. You can see Renee Gonzalez, Mingus Maps, Lee Vostis, they're defeated. On this county website, they're showing you the last round. Now, voters can go in here and look at each round to see when these candidates got eliminated. But I do want to point out, once again, this is very preliminary. It could even change as the county reruns this tabulation with more ballots that it got today. The county tells me this first run is mostly ballots they just got through Monday, so a lot of votes could still be outstanding. They have the same stuff for the council race. The mayor's race is obviously the big one. So we'll be looking through all those races for you throughout the night and giving you that update. Steve and Deb.
All right. We'll talk to you very soon with all of that. Thank you, Wright Gasaway. We have reporters with a few of the mayoral candidates. Let's get right to Barry Mangold with the Renee Gonzalez campaign downtown. What's the latest, Barry?
Well, Steve, Deb, right now it certainly feels like a party here at downtown Portland, even though the campaign said front and center that they do not know if they will win tonight. The result is not expected to be final based off those preliminary ballots that Wright explained. But I did get a chance to talk with Commissioner Gonzalez just before this party got started, and I wanted to ask him about the city administrator position, which is a position that will be created under the new form of city government. And whoever is elected mayor will get a chance or will be required to nominate or choose a city administrator, and then that person will need to be confirmed by city council. Once that person is in office, the city administrator will be essentially in charge of all city services. I asked Gonzalez if he wins, who he would consider for the job. Take a listen.
I'm not interested in ideologues. I'm interested in someone who's focused on getting the potholes filled, making sure 911 response times are good, and making sure that you're getting good value for your taxes.
Are there any current candidates for mayor that you would consider for that job?
We'll talk about that after the election. But
I had to try.
You know, I certainly have appreciated the collaboration I've had with Commissioner Mapps in my time. I think he's one of the smartest people in government, and I don't know what role he might have, but he's certainly someone that I look forward to collaborating with in the future.
So again, we're going to need to wait and see with these results to find out first if Rene Gonzalez will in fact be the next mayor, and second, if he actually will follow up on that compliment that he gave to fellow candidate and Commissioner Mingus Mapps. All of that is TBD for the moment. But for right now, this crowd here in downtown Portland is certainly celebrating a long campaign. They've been thanking everyone in every group that's endorsed the candidate, and we're just waiting for results. We'll have more on this coming up later tonight throughout our election coverage. Back to you guys.
Okay, Barry, thank you. We want to go now to Thunvi Verma, who's standing by with Carmen Rubio's campaign. And Thunvi, Commissioner Rubio is having her watch party at the Northeast Portland Women's Sports Bar, the Sports Bra. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, Deb, she is, and she says she chose this place because it represents women's empowerment. This is something you can see by taking a look at some of the artwork outside of the bar. It really reflects the need for diversity, especially amongst women. And that's what she says the Portland of today is all about. If elected, she says part of her mission as mayor will be to make sure to celebrate the city's diversity.
I will tell you that in my time, it's opened my eyes about how critically important it is that we have voices that haven't been at the table before. Voices that are working people, voices that are women, voices that are people of color.
Commissioner Rubio said we all care about the same issues like housing, public safety, and schools. While she says she doesn't know how she's going to do tonight, she says she feels like her campaign has resonated with people. This watch party will be going on till 9 p.m. Keep it here on KATU. We will bring you the latest. Reporting live at Northeast Portland, Thunvi Verma, KATU News.
I know you will, Thunvi. Thank you for that. KATU's Victor Park is standing by with the Keith Wilson campaign. Wilson, one of the candidates not currently on city council, but has pushed ahead in some recent polls, including the first run we just heard from Ray Gazaway in there. Victor, what are you seeing down there?
Well, Steve and Deb, Keith Wilson just spoke to a crowd of about 50-plus people here on the second floor of Old Town Brewing here on MLK. And just moments ago, the crowd erupted in cheers. But he was also pointing out how his campaign has knocked on more than 22,000 doors. In the meantime, Keith Wilson really campaigning to the last minute. We saw him outside a watch party with his supporters waving signs. His campaign says they are feeling confident. They think Portlanders want change and have been hearing this message. That message focused on the homeless crisis. This is what Wilson told me when I asked him what is next if he wins.
I'm just going to sleep because 9 months of really working hard to communicate with the city. But I'm going to be excited because our team is ready. We've already we've already created a roadmap for tomorrow. We already know what we're going to do on those first few days. So we're not going to wait. We're going to really celebrate in a very muted way, because the hard work is ahead and we're ready for it.
Well, Wilson is the president and CEO of Titan Freight Systems. He is also the founder of the nonprofit Shelter Portland. And coming up at 8:30 on our digital newscast, I'm going to have what he says and what he pledges he's going to do whether he wins or not. We're live here in the King neighborhood of Northeast Portland. I'm Victor Park, KATU News.
Victor, thank you. A lot of numbers coming into the newsroom right now. We want to turn to our political analyst, Jim Moore, and you're looking at some statewide races.
Absolutely. We've got the Secretary of State, State Treasurer, and Attorney General. The Democrats are strongly ahead in all of those. The Republicans are kind of 40% to about 43%. So it looks like a good night as we're looking ahead right now for Tobias Reed for Secretary of State, Elizabeth Steiner for Treasurer, and Dan Rayfield for Attorney General. So once again, it's kind of what we normally see for Republicans. They have a window of 40 to 45%. Right now, the Republicans are in that window. They're not breaking through. This is with results from the big counties, so Washington, Clackamas, Multnomah, and getting Lane County and things like that in. So we're seeing the big counties report. That tends to mean that those people are going to win.
Tobias Reed, the former treasurer, turned out and now running for Secretary of State. Read me me again the last Attorney General, the numbers on that.
The Attorney General, we have Dan Rayfield with 57%, Will Lathrop with 43%.
That's when we talked earlier in the program that you were watching closely, thinking maybe if there's going to be upset, this could be it.
Yeah, and it looks like, he's Lathrop is right in the middle of that 40 to 45% range. Remember, 2 years ago we had Christine Drazen spent a lot of money. She was right at 45%. So it's hard for Republicans to break out of that.
Do we have any numbers on any of the measures that we've been watching? We've been watching a handful of them tonight.
At this point, no, we do not. I have them right here, but they're all at zero.
Okay, we'll continue to monitor that.
We will. I'm going to take a break. Sean, is that what you'd like to do now? We're going to take a quick break. We come back. Lots to go through here. Jim's got his laptop out, so that means results coming up. Stay with us here.
When we
So do you see that? How long's this break? So it came down to Wilson, Gonzalez, Rubio, Mapps, and then Mapps was eliminated, and then it was Wilson, Gonzalez, Rubio. Wilson led the whole time. And the final, and then those votes went 2-1 to Wilson over Rubio. So in the
he was getting second place on a lot of ballots.
He must have, but it wasn't all of them. So in the penultimate round, Gonzalez had about 42,000 votes.
Yeah.
24,000 were redistributed. So some of those people either ran out of options or, but he got 16,000. Keith Wilson did. Rubio got 8,000.
So how many rounds did it take?
19.
19 rounds.
Well, because that's
the beginning was Wilson ahead.
Yep, he had 36% of the first place votes.
Okay. So that's knowledge that
yeah,
we have.
exactly. And I've got that. Yeah, it was about that. The order never really changed.
Yeah.
And he led the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And in the final run, he had 63%. Do you have your computer? You want to pull it up?
I have been completely unable to pull it up.
Do you want me to get it over there? Or you?
No, it's okay.
How much longer is this break, Sean?
Welcome back to our election coverage tonight. One of the local races being watched across the country that could impact the balance of power in Congress is in Washington's Congressional District 3. Incumbent Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez taking on Republican Joe Kent. You see the numbers right there so far, but 9% reporting. Joe Kent 55%, Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez with 45%.
KATU's Shelby Slaughter is live now at the incumbent's camp, Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez campaign. So Shelby, what are you seeing and hearing tonight?
Well, Deb, just moments ago, someone from the campaign did take the stage. They're talking right now about just some of the results that we had come in just seconds ago. Right now, the poll shows that Joe Kent is leading slightly, and that's what the campaign is talking about right now. They're talking about how we may see some results that may surprise us, some results that we may not be happy with, and they're just trying to keep the momentum going as the night goes on. I'm going to step out of the way here for you guys now. In Vancouver, the Democrats ads are coming out in drones. I did just run the numbers for you guys, and I did the numbers, and over 300 people are here tonight and counting. Everyone all is doing the same thing, clutching their phones, waiting for the results, both here locally and nationally as well. But as a reminder, we have been here before, because just 2 years ago, actually, when Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez and Joe Kent went up against each other first, and then she ended up beating him just 2 years ago. We're going to be here all evening long, listening in on these conversations and bringing you the latest election results as we get them in. Back to you guys.
We're counting on you. Thank you very much, Shelby, for that tonight. KATU's Emily Gersh standing by at the watch party with Republican Joe Kent's campaign. Emily, I'm curious, did they see the latest numbers come in that we just reported?
They did, Steve. They were just cheering here a moment ago because of those numbers. And Joe Kent himself was supposed to be here at 8 o'clock to speak to this crowd, but someone from his campaign announced that he was still at the Clark County Elections Office, encouraging voters to stay in line as these votes continue to come in. Now, here's a look at the room here. I will say it has gone from tense to excitement here just in the last half an hour, really, and people have really started to fill this relatively small community center up. There are people everywhere. There are a lot of MAGA hats, a lot of Trump support here. People are very outspoken here. It's something that we're not used to seeing in this area. We do know that this district is historically a red district, although we know that Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez has been in the seat for the last 2 years, and this is Kent's second term running against her. He is hoping to take back this district, and a lot of his supporters, of course, are here tonight, and they're hoping for that as well. Again, we were hoping that he would be here tonight. At this time, we're not sure if he's going to make an appearance or if it will be much later, but we will continue to stay here and bring you the latest as we get it. We're live in Clark County. Emily Gersh, KATU News.
Okay, Emily, thank you. Let's, if we can, bring up the numbers once again as we take a look at what's happening in Congressional District 3 in Washington. Of course, political analyst Jim Moore joins us, and this is an early look at the numbers. What's it telling you, though?
Well, it's telling us that we're counting quickly from the Kent areas. Remember, he does well in some of the counties away from Vancouver, and the Democrats do really well in Vancouver. And so, remember, we're hearing there's 4-hour lines in Vancouver. So we've got to wait for this to kind of work its way through. This was a nail-biting election 2 years ago. It very easily could turn into a nail-biting election this time.
Let's talk about this campaign too, Jim, because obviously far from over 9% up, reporting right there, 55 to 45. Joe Kent softened his stance this time around. Do you think that's helping him?
I think it's helping him. It's not clear because Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez, but also the National Democrats, you know, this is the one where Joe Kent's an angry person, so they tried to unsoften him. But, you know, those kinds of things can backfire on you, and it's been pretty constant when you're looking at ads, not just on television, but radio, in your feeds, all sorts of places like that. So I think he did a pretty good job of softening himself as much as he could.
There was a lot of money in this campaign from both sides.
Yeah, there's absolutely a lot of money, but Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez way outraised him in the last 3 months, like a 5-to-1 margin. And so as I was looking at it, where was the national Republican money? Because it was also not coming in for Kent. So that said to me, are they saying that he's going to lose or he's got this in the bag? We'll find out tonight and probably into tomorrow morning what that is. But right now it looks really, really close. And quite frankly, if I were the Republicans, I would have been flooding money into this if it's going to be a close race.
Anything else you want to talk about before we do take another break, Jim?
Yeah, quick, early. We're seeing that Maria Cantwell seems to have won for the Senate race in Washington State as well.
Not a huge surprise.
Not a huge surprise at all.
All right, thank you, Jim. We're going to take a break. Come back after this. Welcome back to KATU News, your voice, your vote. In our election coverage, we want to show you something here. Oregon U.S. president numbers now coming in. Kamala Harris at 55%, Donald Trump at 42%, and not a huge surprise in the state of Oregon. And Jim Moore, we'll bring you back in now and talk about that, and also the numbers we have for the state of Washington.
Yeah, so once again, not a big surprise. We'll wait for more Republican areas to come in, but they tend to have smaller populations. Looks really, really good for Harris, as expected. Yeah. Washington, the numbers are almost exactly the same in terms of percentages. Harris is up a little bit more in Washington than here, but she's got a stronghold in California, Washington, and Oregon. And you put those together, that's 74 electoral college votes. That's a big chunk. Right now, it doesn't look like she will have quite enough, though, to get to 270. She's got to have other things break her way in the battleground states and things like that.
And we're still watching those for sure.
Yep.
Another race people are paying pretty close attention to is Oregon District number 5. That's where incumbent Lori Chavez-DeRemer is facing Democrat Janelle Bynum. KATU's Christina Giardelli is live in downtown Portland tonight with the Bynum campaign. So, Christina, what's the atmosphere like there? Sounds noisy.
Yeah, very high energy here right now as we're seeing, those initial results drop. Of course, now we have the Democrat Susan Bonamici speaking. We just got some results for her, obviously showing the initial results showing in her favor. But she's also been talking about the initial results for this congressional district 5, with Bynum showing in a slight lead there as well. And the excitement's been building on that. Earlier, you could hear them chanting, saying that we will not go back, of course, alluding to former President Donald Trump. This is the Democratic election watch night. Chavez-DeRemer will not be having a watch party tonight. Her campaign people are telling me this is a personal decision that she has. She made it last year as well to stay home with her family and watch those election results. And of course, we might not see those results come in today, and that's what a lot of these Democrats are saying as well, that keep in mind we might not be getting those results today. But as you guys mentioned, this is a very consequential race, the most competitive congressional race in Oregon, and one of the most competitive in the nation. In fact, it's among just a dozen seats that Democrats or Republicans could flip in Congress. And so, of course, both parties, high tensions in these races, with Bynum slightly in the lead right now with Chavez-DeRemer. But of course, this is a district that last election in 2022 saw a win on a slight margin, with Republicans flipping that district for the first time in 25 years, and that was just after the district got redistricted from the 2020 census. So of course, we could be seeing a really tight election in this very consequential district, and those results could be, coming in tonight, but they could most likely take quite some time still before we see any affirmative numbers one way or another. Bynum still has not spoken at this election watch party yet. We don't know where she is in the lineup yet. We've seen Kotek come out and speak. We've seen Susan Bonamici come out and speak, and there's a number of lawmakers here because, of course, as you know, Bynum did serve 2 terms in the legislature. She's also beat Chavez-DeRemer in 2 legislative elections. But of course, those elections, much smaller than this very large congressional district that both candidates have been vying for in a quiet, tense election. So we'll see how tonight plays out. But yeah, the energy here has been really high. Lots of tension, people watching those television screens really closely. You can hear it, them saying we are not going back, and that was a chant earlier. So, of course, the tensions in this congressional race, but also for the election as a whole. We'll be keeping a close watch here on this campaign event. But for now, back to you guys.
All right, Christina, thank you very much. You saw Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici on the stage there giving a little speech, and it's the 6-term Congresswoman is about to make it 7, it appears, tonight, Jim.
Absolutely. She didn't really have any competition. She wins with about 70% of the vote. She's doing fine. Maxine Dexter in the 3rd, heavily Democratic, does fine. She goes through, sets up something really interesting. Andrea Salinas in the 6th congressional district is right now way ahead of Mike Erickson. Still early on. Yamhill County has not reported anything yet, but if that holds up, Oregon's House delegation will be 83% female.
That's incredible.
I think we may be setting a record in the country for having the most women percentage-wise in our congressional delegation.
And let's talk about Maxine Dexter, legislator, physician as well, decided to give this a shot. And we knew going in this was a heavy Democrat district. What are the numbers on that you're seeing right now?
Right now, it looks like 68% to Joanna Harbor, the Republic having 27%.
Of course, this is taking over Earl Blumenauer's seat. That
Exactly. And there are parts of this district where the Republicans are only 5% of the registered voters in some of the House districts for the state legislature and things. So the primary was the big thing. Remember, it was closely fought. She won, and she's walking in.
All right, let's take another break. Come back with more after this.
Welcome back to this edition of Your Voice, Your Vote. We're going to go over some other races that we have new numbers in for at this moment. The first one that we want to pull up, if we can see that. This is an Oregon Senate race. This is district number 25. You can see Chris Gorsuch ahead with 55% of the vote against Raymond Love.
In Senate District 27, Anthony Broadman, the Democrat, and Michael Summers, the Republican. You see Broadman with about a 20% lead at this point.
And Oregon House District 7, John Lively, Democrat, with 56% of the vote against Cory Burkett.
Let's go to Oregon House District 22. Leslie Munoz, the Democrat, and Tracy Kramer, the Republican. We see that one a little bit tighter, about 6% separating those two right now.
And Oregon District 53, this is Oregon House. You can see Emerson Levy with 55% of the vote against Kerry Lopez with 45% the Republican. And
this is Secretary of State. This is some of this Jim talked about earlier. Dennis Linthicum, the Republican, and Tobias Reed. We have 54% with Tobias at 54 and Natalie Paravancini now at about 3%. And Jim saying that one looks pretty good for the Democrats.
And the Oregon State Treasurer, Brian Boquist, the Republican, with 44% of the vote. Elizabeth Steiner, 50% at this point. Mary King, I guess we're going to go right by that.
Yeah, and Dan Rayfield, the Democrat, and Will Lathrop, the Republican, Oregon Attorney General. And this one we thought would be a close one, and it is at this point. Certainly about 8% separating those two at this point.
We have a handful of measures that we want to go through. This is Oregon Measure 15. This would be the impeachment of state executives, giving the legislature the authority to do that. 62% voting yes for this against the 38% saying no.
Oregon Measure 117, that's the ranked choice voting for federal state offices. Right now it's being done for the mayor, city council races, auditor, but this would be statewide. We're seeing no's at 60% and yeses at 40.
This is a very talkable one. Oregon Measure 118. This is increasing corporate minimum tax. Distributing revenue, $1,600 no, with 79% of the vote, to the 21% saying yes.
And let's go back to Jim Moore if we can now as we look at those. Anything come out of there surprise you at all, Jim?
No. You know, I was looking at that tax one because it's a tax other states have. It looks like Oregonians have said heck no to the tax. Once again, we'll see, but it looks like 20-25% is going to be the yes range, so it's not going anywhere. Hey, I've got some stuff on some of the Portland City Council races.
Okay.
So there's a whole bunch of people who have gone through. Notable names. Steve Novick has made it through the preliminary round.
Wow.
Remember
him.
we're not going to hear for a few days who actually wins this thing. And then looking at some of the other races, you know, there's a lot of people in these races. And looking at it, Dan Ryan has made it through. Both of them kind of at the top of their class. So if you have that name recognition, you're getting through these things. Everybody else had to work really hard because they weren't really known.
Can we talk about the commissioners, for the county commissioners? Do you have numbers for them?
Yeah, I have county commissioner numbers, and it looks like Sam Adams is losing. And it looks like, just based on his name, and I don't have it in front of me, Buddy Mazurski is losing as well. So once again, bigger names losing as we go through this. So it's a fascinating night. Once again, early on with all those elections coming in, remember at Multnomah County where these elections are taking place, there's a line that's still out there for about another 30 minutes.
And of course, Sam Adams, the former mayor of Portland, but apparently going down in that
recognition.
race tonight. That does it for this special edition of KATU News. We are not done yet. We're going to continue our coverage online, so go to KATU.com for the latest on all the local results. Jim will be here, Deb will be here as well, and we'll be back on the air at 11 o'clock tonight.
Bienvenidos a Univisión Portland con lo más destacado de esta noche de elecciones generales, transmitiendo para usted por redes sociales. Estas elecciones serán decisivas. Si votó usted, decidió el rumbo del país, vamos con algunas elecciones y vamos a empezar con las presidenciales. A nivel nacional, desde temprano empezó el conteo por la diferencia de horario. Kamala Harris tiene el 47% de los votos y Donald Trump tiene el 52% de los votos. Desde luego, los números irán cambiando hasta llegar a la cifra clave de 270 votos electorales. Kamala tiene 153 y Trump tiene 214. Los estados claves serán, entre otros, Pensilvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona y Nevada. Localmente hay mucho en juego, primero porque se implementó por primera vez la nueva forma de votación, que es por orden de preferencia. Habrá nueva forma de gobierno por primera vez en 100 años. El condado de Multnomah dio a conocer sus primeras rondas de resultados para Portland. A esta hora los candidatos que están a delantera son Keith Wilson con el 63% de los votos y Carmen Rubio con el 37% de los votos. René González está en tercer lugar sin porcentaje todavía. Por primera vez hay dos candidatos latinos al frente de la contienda. Actualmente González y Rubio son dos de los 5 comisionados en Portland. Por otra parte, hay 5 medidas estatales en juego, pero la 118 está resonando entre los residentes de Oregon. La medida 118 está siendo rechazada con el 79% de los votos. Busca imponer un impuesto a empresas millonarias para darle un fondo de $1,600 por persona para los más necesitados. Ahora, a nivel federal, hay varias diputaciones